Hey, welcome to the weekly wrap up. We
Hello.
are going live on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and getting started in crypto, maybe somewhere else.
YouTube.
YouTube, that's it. That was another one. So many.
There's too many platforms. I think they just need to kind of cull it all down to just one social media platform. That's it.
It's crazy because I've just signed up to Instagram Threads and TikTok Notes,
God.
which is essentially
Yeah.
And TikTok Notes is essentially like Pinterest, which is weird. But anyway.
Well, it will be good for the retail, I guess, when they're coming in from all angles. I don't think the retail's here yet. Would you agree?
No, I don't think we're here yet. I think we're just beginning. So I think as soon as we can get BTC 100K US dollars, that is, because it's already well beyond that in Australian dollars, Canadian dollars, whatever dollars, Japanese yen, it's like $1 million or something. But so if we can get it 100,000 US dollars.
That should start the floods of people coming in. So for everyone watching, thank you for joining us. Those watching, I guess, are still considered early.
I'd say so. Like, even like how many years on now, 12, 13 years on now, maybe more, 14. I don't know. Can't remember. But anyway, however many years we're on now, we're on our next bull run and we're still super early. So you think about traditional markets and that sort of thing, they've been going hundreds of years. And so this is super early. This is where finance essentially changes. So we're on the cusp of something like really incredible.
Excellent. A good time to be witnessing it and to be involved. Interestingly, we were talking about involvement the other day and having a bit of skin in the game for those who are observing but perhaps not getting stuck in yet. So for anyone watching who hasn't even touched their first crypto, what would you say?
Well, for those that are, just really risk averse and you're watching me and you've just come across this video maybe on Instagram or wherever, I would say, if you want to have exposure but not have exposure, get into the ETFs because they're very easy to get into. If you want to actually put a little bit more risk, then we've got a whole startup page that can get you going and on getting started in crypto. And that is going to help you sort of understand how exchanges work, how to get your money on there, how, to hodl, to build that portfolio. It's still not too late to be doing that. Somebody asked me the other day on X, is it too late to build my portfolio? And no, because we're going to get a pullback after we get this next high for BTC, and the market's going to pull back because we're getting incredibly overbought, and it is literally getting to like peaking on RSI. So we need a pullback, and we're going to have one more push, I think, and then we're just going to pull back. So that's when you want to be like building these long-term bags, because we've got another year of this.
Good times. Well, on that note, then let's dive into Bitcoin. Let's see what's been happening and what you reckon will happen.
I just saw the exchanges fire out that we've hit 92 again. So essentially, this is the 3-day chart, and we are under a resistance. So this resistance comes from the previous all-time high, and where we had the two highs, the one in May, the one later on in November. So that's kind of where we're coming from. This chart doesn't go back to the beginning of time. BLX does, if for those that want to have a look. And we're under that hard resistance. Is exactly where I said we were going to sort of sit, consolidate, and that's essentially what we're doing. So there's a strong potential that there's going to be a bull trap here first, though, for anyone that is leverage trading, this is an area that everyone gets really cocky and they go, okay, I'm just going to up the leverage, I'm going to up the money, and they end up wiping themselves out and they have no money left for the bull run. And you do not want to be doing that. Capital preservation is always the key in any part of the market. So bull markets, they know that people do that. People get greedy. The fear and greed index, I think, was on about 80 just recently. So it's dropped a little bit, but we're still literally really high on that. We've probably got one more push and then that pullback. So that is where the bulls, the late entry bulls, are going to get trapped here. So just be super careful with that. So when I drop this down, I'm going to drop it down to a 12-hour just to sort of have a look what we're doing. And we can see that we're, you know, gradually hitting sideways. It is looking quite bullish. We do have a rising wedge forming. So rising wedges break down and they end where they began. So that's how a rising wedge traditionally works. So what that means is, hang on, let me get some squiggles. So we've got some squiggles here filling this bit out. We may break up here and then come straight back down to that bit, and then we're going to head up. So that's the potential that we could be seeing. That's going to reset sort of funding. It's going to reset a lot of the market just due to the fact that funding rates are super high at the moment, and you know, greed is super high at the moment. So we want to be careful of that. So best place to be in the market at the moment is in spot. I don't believe we're in a point where we want to be heavy margin. Maybe 1 or 2 times, up to 3 times maybe. But yeah, I just, it's not an area that I would be going heavily on margin, because I do think there's going to be some liquidations on the way, and that is not going to be fun for anyone. So yeah, so just keep an eye on this region, and we want to have a look at, this is the 12-hour. So far we haven't turned up, but we are getting in that region. Hang on, my lines want to draw on there. We don't want those. So we can see we are turning. We've got a small bounce. This is the stock RSI, and on the 12-hour. So it does look like we're going to start getting some upward momentum. Can't speak today. So just do keep an eye on that, but it could only be a small move up. Yesterday I posted a video on what to watch for in a bull trap, and essentially this is what we're seeing. So unless we get a major tether print, then if that happens, we're going straight up. Forget it. All bets are off. Just we're going up. But it could, again, be that bull trap first. So, and that just means that, you know, larger whales exchanges have strategic sells in those regions where it's just, when it triggers, it just cascades down, hitting all the stop losses, and then takes it straight back up. So it would literally just be a wick.
Okay, so with Bitcoin being obviously the main performer still, do you think there's room for alts to be running now? Because I see and hear a lot of people saying, okay, well, whilst Bitcoin's in this wedge, will the alt run? Or do you think we're not quite ready for alt season, as it were, yet?
Where have you been? Alt season's happening. So, you know, in the last week, we've been doing, you know, 50, 60, 70% in signals in G6. So for anyone that's telling me that, you know, alt season's not happening, they're just not looking at the right alts.
There we go. Good answer. Good answer.
So, you know, we may not be doing the 500% yet. We're not in that part of the market, but we are in the initial stages of the market where we're going to be doing, you know, 100 to 200%, and then we're pulling back. So that's essentially what we're seeing. This is a wave 1. The next wave up is wave 3 for alts, and that's where we get the huge momentum and movement and the explosive moves.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. Did you want to look at anything else, Bitcoin, or should we look at?
Yeah, so let's just jump into the BLX. So this is the the chart from the beginning of the time. So if you want all the data, it goes right back to the beginning. This chart is on TradingView, and it does break down how the cycle, the 4-year cycle works in conjunction with quantitative tightening and easing. And that's how the US government prints money and restricts money by basically interest rates. So when we get a 25 basis point interest rate cut, that's an easing. And when we get a rate hike, that's tightening. So when we're in a tightening phase, the market goes down. When we're in an easing phase, the market goes up. And that's where we are at the moment.
You're talking crypto market or traditional stocks?
So all markets. Essentially, we have a money injection. Governments are buying bonds and pouring more money and printing money, essentially. So, we see tether prints, we see government prints, because when there's more demand, as I explained in that tether video that's up on X as well, when there's more demand, we need more liquidity, and that's where we get these prints. So when that changes and we go into tightening, that's when the money is taken out of the market. So when we are looking at sort of how the market is going and how the market's moving, we're looking to see whether we're getting rate cuts or hikes, and that way the market will react accordingly.
Okay, cool. All right then. That's technical analysis. I was just, whilst you were talking then, thinking about fundamental analysis, and there's always FUD in the market. There's always doubt. One of the biggest FUDs recently has been the threat of war with Ukraine and Russia, and recently Biden greenlighting, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the use of missiles on Russia. So tensions escalating there. I don't want to FUD, but how important are fundamentals at this stage, or do you think technicals will outweigh that?
No, because that's all of that stuff is built into the market. So when we look at wave patterns with Elliott Wave, it's all psychological. So we can sort of look at what's happening in the world and go, okay, this is essentially, how the market's moving. So with the 4-year cycle, and we were sort of looking at how is Bitcoin going to pull back in the last cycle. So if I just go back to the BLX and we have a look at how essentially this has worked, we've had points in the market where that was the FTX bottom. So there's always a catalyst that makes the market pull back or go up. So the market is due a pullback. So whether that is some sort of threat of war or an actual war or something else like that, but essentially long term, war is good for crypto. It's an easier way to move money between sort of cross borders. We've seen that with BRICS and with what they've been building and doing. So they've got their own exchanges. They're actively buying Bitcoin. Trump has announced that he's going to be doing that as well. It is definitely like a financial war as well as it is, war against sort of countries and that sort of thing, like, oh, I'm stronger than you, and the boys just puffing their chest out with their egos. But financial war is something that is actively happening, and that's, when you look at Ukraine and you look at the major players like BlackRock going into those regions and setting up funds, and they've got building funds. So essentially war tears down cities, and then companies like BlackRock come in and build them, and that infrastructure then flows back into the economy. So essentially that's how everything is like intertwined into finance.
How the world works.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just essentially understanding how the world works, how the economy works, and what that means for crypto, for the traditionals, obviously traditionals don't move as much as crypto does, and that's why we're here. I used to purely trade traditionals, and you can trade them any day of the week, and it's just a no-brainer. They just move exactly to pattern. And yeah, crypto is a little bit different because it's a little bit more volatile, but essentially it still moves. Bitcoin still moves to a 4-year cycle. We're still seeing all those $1 million predictions. I've seen those for the last few years. This time, just due to the fact that we do normally get a 6 to 10 times movement on, Bitcoin, and when we're coming in. So, when we've come back down from these regions down here in 2019, and then to go up to 60,000, 69,000 is a huge stretch of a move. So when you're looking at we're starting down at 20,000, and then we're going 10 times is 200,000. So, essentially if we do 2017 where we went, so many thousands of percent, we're somewhere in between that. We're going to be getting between, $200 to $1 million. Whether we get to $1 million this time, unknown. That's a lot of money flowing into the crypto market. Considering we're a very young market, we're only at about $3 trillion at the moment. We've just surpassed the silver cap, and so the sky's literally the limit for crypto, but it's still super early.
Super early. It's going to be a game of discipline and patience for those maybe handing down Bitcoins to other generations before it gets to 1 million. But again, a game of patience and discipline. So where would you like to go next? Should we take a look at Ethereum? Is Sol the new Ethereum? What is there's a real battle going on? Or I know you always say
Solana's doing so much better. So let's jump to an ad, and we will come back and we'll look at Sol, and then we'll look at Ethereum.
Okay, let's do that. I was not prepared for that. 1 second.
Just like
Okie dokie.
welcome back.
We have, all right, yes, you do that. We've got a few requests for alts, but let's see what you've got lined up first.
Amazing. So I've got Solana straight up. So obviously we are still under the previous all-time high. 260 is going to break that. It looks like it is very, very close to happening. If we can do that, essentially, this is our flagpole. So we've got our flag here. Now, the way this works is it comes from this region here, and that takes us to the magic $300 mark. So round numbers are always psychological. A lot of traders will go, I'll just sell that at $199, $200. And for this one, it might be $299, $300. So because that's essentially where everyone goes in, places an order, and then goes, okay, I'll pick it up when it retraces. Sometimes it does, sometimes it just blows through because it's a lot of shorts in that area. And as we know from following me, when we get shorts at a resistance, that equals bear tiers. So you'll see, I always get questioned about what they are. So the bear with 3 splashes. So essentially that's bear tiers. So if you ever see that, that means that we've got a whole heap of stop losses going off the wrong way, and all the bears are getting liquidated. So that's what happens in those regions as well. So I never recommend shorting in those regions. If so, you have to be super skilled and have a stop loss and make sure you're in and out. It would be literally a scalp. So for Solana, we should be seeing that, I would think, this week. We are going to get to that all-time high, though, and consolidate like we're seeing on Bitcoin before it does blow through. For Ethereum, it's a bit more boring. And when we pull this back, we've still got plenty of room here to move. And this is a 3-day chart. So, just looking at this on the 3-day, we can see that we've got a gravestone doji here. So if you do see those in any form, that normally means there's going to be a pullback. Whether it's a larger pullback, we don't know, but it does generally mean there's a pullback on the way. Oops, wrong one. So let me just get some fibs and we'll have a look how far that's going. So looking at that, we've pulled back to the 382. That's a super bullish correction for Ethereum. So it could literally move up from here. We are seeing a few dojis with long tails forming. And, we've had the pullback from that doji as well. So there's no reason why this can't take off. We can't see some money flow into there. But there is a strong resistance for Ethereum at 3,800 if it continues up this way.
Okay, cool. Right, let's see what we got. Sadie wants to have a look at people. The crypto.
People looked a bit dead, I think. Where's my... Looked a bit bearish. This is when I turned into super nerd. So we've had this breakout, but it's come back under the MAs. So this is a 2-hour chart. When we take this up to the daily, we are we're still under the MAs. So we're kind of struggling. We're just holding the RSI at the moment on the daily. But yeah, we've got a bit of a bearish turn. We don't have a lot of volume coming in here. So potentially this pattern here has got maybe one more wave. So, that could be the flagpole upside down, bear, like a bear flag, not a bull flag. So that's essentially what that looks like. And that could break down quite hard. So it's not something I would be trading at the moment. It did hit our stop loss in the group. It's one of the other coins to do that in this whole run. The other pattern is that this is a leading diagonal and we've got ABC in this region and that's complete. So we do look to have an ABCDE, ABCDE in that region. So, potentially this could be a more bullish pattern with a leading diagonal, and it still does need to touch the top to be valid and then pull back down one last time. So it's still got a little bit more room to sort itself out. So kind of unknown where it's going at the moment for that one. I know that's not what Sadie wants to hear, but it's got two patterns, two very distinct patterns.
No problem. Next up is NOT, N-O-T. I'm having to pick and choose. There's a few requests, so sorry if we can't get round to all of them. If you are in the group, though, you can just jump into our live chat in Getting Started in Crypto. We can get round to them ASAP.
Yeah, so NOT is looking a little bit better. So this is a super new pattern. So again, we don't have the complete formed pattern yet, so it can go either way. It does have a lot of momentum sort of heading this way. Like we've got a very nice wedge that has formed. It's had a breakout. When we take the wedge from this region, it's on support. It still could come down for one last wave to about 56.0056. It still does have a lot more room to move on the stock RSI, showing a little bit of bearish divergence, but short term, I would say this one looks like I would be laddering into it if you're going for a long-term trade. We can see that on the daily, we're just hitting resistance on the 100 MA. So it doesn't look like it's a huge problem. It does look like potentially it's got one more pullback and then it's going to explode. If we go, I'm going to just check a 12-hour chart to see where that's at. Yeah, we can see that we're just fighting, but this 100 and 200 are looking really bullish. So as well as the stock RSI is starting to turn up. The only thing that's sort of I'd worry about is MACD is starting to lose a little bit of volume. So that does mean we're probably going to get that pullback and then continuation. But 9 times out of 10, they retest where they break out and they continue up. So, and I've got a target there of 031.
Cool. Right. I'll take one more from the group and then a couple from social media. XRP from the group. XRP has been on a little bit of a run.
Yeah, is that David? Hi, David.
Not David, but no, not that.
It's normally David that's asking for XRP, isn't it? So XRP is looking really good. So it has come back and corrected below the 236, which to me means it's probably got one more pullback to go. So this is a B wave forming. So if we drop this down to probably a 2-hour, we can see that we're potentially forming that B wave, and that will come back down. So unless it's going to be super bullish like we're seeing on some of the coins, but our 100 and our 200 MA on the lower time frames is a little bit lower, and that is also our 236. So potentially after this B wave completes, which can go to about 1.28, if it doesn't pass through that region, it's probably coming back down for a C wave. The other pattern here, if it wants to stay really tight, and because all of you guys are egging XRP on to go to the moon, we could see some sort of, if my Elliott waves want to work, some sort of triangle forming. And that's kind of what it might look like. We want this to essentially have some sort of flattish top, because when it's a flat bottom, it breaks down. When it's a flat top, it usually breaks up. So that's something to watch as well. If all the waves are hitting a resistance on the 4th one, it will break through.
Okay, right. 2 more quick ones, both from YouTube. SUS, S-U-S. I'm not sure if that's a brand new one or you've charted it before. Yeah. S-U-S.
No.
If not, we can swap that out for Litecoin.
Let's have a look. S-U-S.
S-U-S.
Looks like we've got something.
That's sushi, I think.
No, that's sushi.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's probably.
Litecoin can replace that one. Same request.
No, I don't have it. So it's probably on like it's probably on shitcoin roulette.
Yeah. No problem. Let's swap that. They asked for Litecoin as well, if possible. So
LTC. So Litecoin is really exciting because it's now a meme coin.
Apparently.
It identifies as a meme coin. So obviously, Charlie at Litecoins hired some social media, and they are hilarious. So if you're not following Litecoin, I would be following them, because their social media has been so on spot, and doing some nice moves for Litecoin. I've got a move coming up for this one to about 114. It could potentially head up to about 147. There's a pivot there, and there's a pivot at 177. So it needs to break both that 147, 177 to be super bullish. So when it gets to those regions, that's when it's just going to absolutely rip. So at the moment, it's in a very strong consolidation pattern and looking really good.
Okay, last one, BNB. And then we will wrap up the wrap-up.
All right, we've got a nice rising wedge coming up for BNB as well, some strong consolidation. And this is one of our signals in the group. So you're getting a free signal here. I've got it going to about 1,086 on this wave. Doesn't mean it won't go higher, but that's a wave high, and then it should pull back at that region. Yeah, so BNB is looking really good. It's a little bit slower. It's a little bit like Ethereum at the moment, where it's just kind of not moving. But I can see that the team are still doing everything that they can. And yeah, so let's see if they can get some meme coins happening like Solana has, and it just goes crazy.
Well, if you stuck with us throughout the whole wrap up and you're not in the group, you got yourself a cheeky little free signal there. But it does mean you now need to sign up. So crypto.com.
And if you don't want to trade them yourselves and you say you don't have that much time, 15 minutes a day will get you into signals with Lisabot.trade. And that will essentially send the signals out to the exchange once it's set up with your API. Probably take about half an hour to set up if you're sort of a novice at doing that sort of stuff. A little bit quicker if you're a little bit more skilled in crypto. But it's literally going to take you about 15 minutes a day just to keep an eye on those trades.
Yeah, and just to manage them along with your daily updates in the group for Bitcoin, which is fantastic. We also have, at the end of this week, for anyone who is still thinking about signing up, the Black Friday sale.
We do. And TradingView have given us 3 subscriptions to give away. So
that's an exclusive.
They're exclusive, and you have to sign up to GSIC to be eligible to win those. Absolutely. So all our members at the moment will go into that draw, and all new members will go into the draw.
Absolutely. And so do keep an eye on Lisa's Twitter at Lisa N. Edwards for announcements there. Otherwise, thank you everyone very much for joining us again. Have a great week ahead, and we will see you soon.
We will. Bye.